For the third feature, let's switch over to the part drawing again. What I'm interested in doing now is this sweep. So let's see, let's zoom in a little bit on the sweep that's occurring here. And what we have is a straight line that comes up 1/4 of an inch, a 45-degree bend, another straight extrusion of 1/4 of an inch, and it looks like I'm missing it. The radius of this bend should also be 1/4 of an inch. So we'll draw that as we draw our, this is the path for the sweep. The profile for the sweep will simply be a circle, and we can see that from here. And that's going to have 1/4 of an inch diameter. So let's go to SolidWorks. We need 2 sketches again. Let's make a sketch here on the loft. So I'm going to right-click on the loft and create a new sketch. We'll draw a circle from the origin. And this time I'm going to do a dimension. I can choose the smart dimension. There is a shortcut. If I hold the right mouse button up, hold the right mouse button, move my mouse up, and keep moving until I run into the dimension command and it'll jump into a dimension command. So I'll click on the circle and we'll let our diameter be 0.25. And that's all I needed to do here. We've fully defined the sketch, so we'll exit that sketch. Okay, there's the profile. The next thing I need is the path. Now, if you remember from our first extrusion, when we created this first rectangle down here in the bottom, one of the keys to doing this in an efficient way would be to put the origin of the rectangle in the center on the origin of the sketch. By doing that, what we've allowed to happen is the front plane, the basic plane of the part, now runs right through the middle of this profile that we've been creating. This is perfect. Now if I right-click on the front plane and create a sketch on the front plane, I now have a place that I can draw my path that's right in the middle of the circle, which is where I want it to be. I'm going to choose the line command. I'll go to the origin. It's going to snap to the origin, and I'm going to draw a line straight up. So the yellow icon there next to the mouse tells me that I'm snapping a vertical command. Okay, so we're going to go up about 0.25 or so. If I'm in the line command and I leave the point and then go back to the point and then leave again, it'll actually be an arc, and I can control what that arc looks like. It looks like it didn't do it the way I want it to. I'll have to fix it later. If I go back to it again, there, that's the direction I want it to go. So I'm going to drop that there, and then now I can have a straight line again. Notice it's trying to do some sort of snapping to the tangent of that arc, which is actually how I want to place it. So I'm going to make sure I do place it tangent to the arc. And then I'm finished with the line command, so I'll hit escape to get out of the line command, and escape again to deselect everything. Now that I've done that, let's do a smart dimension. We want 0.25 for the length of the first piece. We want, notice if I need to be careful here, I want my dimension to be aligned and not justified horizontally. You can actually, if you're having trouble getting it to snap correctly, get to a place where it's looking correctly and then right click, that locks it, so now you can bring it wherever you want. We'll bring it down here and we're going to let this one be 0.25. And then the radius here will also be 0.25. And the only thing, notice it says underdefined still. The reason it's underdefined is we don't know what angle, we haven't told it what angle this ought to be. So if I click this line and this line, I'll snap to an angle. And what I would like for this to be, let's see, I want this one right here to be 135 degrees. 135 degrees. And that should have fully defined my profile. So I'll exit the sketch. Now we can see in 3D what's happening. So we have sketch 4 and sketch 5 for making our sweep. So it looks like I've accidentally moved off of the ribbon. That's a good chance for us to show. I need to go back to my features ribbon. And now we're going to do the sweep command. The first thing it asks me is what's the profile. I'm going to choose from my profile sketch 4, and then it asks me what is the path. The path will be sketch 5, and there we have those two, so I'll click OK, and we've now created the next feature. So for the next feature, let's take a look at the drawing again. What we want to do now is this extrusion of the triangle. Okay, and just to demonstrate some new features, I'm gonna do half of it. Then after I do half of it, I'll mirror the other half so we can see what that command looks like. So a couple things I need to know. 0.35 is to the top of this face of the triangle. There's 120 degrees, so that means this triangle is going to be equilateral, 60, 60, 60 for the degrees for the interior angles of the triangle. We're going to measure 1 inch to that cutoff. Hopefully that's enough information to fully define the triangle. Let's go to our SolidWorks part. Again, the front plane should be a good place to start, so I'm going to make a new sketch on the front plane. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my line command, and again I'll snap to the center of that circle, and as I pull up I can snap perpendicular to that face, which is what I want to do. So I'll snap there, come out a little ways, down. So what I'm doing is I'm roughly sketching the triangle. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to place this so it's in line with the origin. And to do that, if I go ahead and click on the origin and then come off of it, notice it's bringing now a straight line. So this will let me, let's see, snap and then close the profile. I've now created a closed profile. I'll hit let's see, because I finished the closed profile, I don't have to hit escape. It automatically stops the line command. So I hit escape to get out of, to unselect everything, and we can begin dimensioning things. So smart dimension, and we want this dimension right here. What I wanted it to be was 0.35 divided by 2. So I can do that on a calculator, but the better idea would be just to go ahead and drop the dimension there, and I wanted it to be 0.35 divided by 2. So this dialog that I'm typing in, I can type in all kinds of functions, not just multiply and divide, but also tangent and many of the functions you're used to using in a calculator or a program like MATLAB. Type that in, it calculates it for me. The dimension from this line to this line is supposed to be 1 inch. The angle here, the bottom, is supposed to be 60 degrees. We still don't have it fully defined, and I'm not sure why it's not fully defined. So I'm going to test to see if I can figure out. Hit escape, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab a side and see what I can do to move it. Okay. So even though I dropped this line so that it would be perpendicular, it looks like that didn't take, it didn't fully make a constraint. So we're going to add a relation, and the relation I want is that this line here and the circle from the last profile, I want the two of them to be perpendicular to each other. So check mark and escape. It is now fully defined and we're ready to do our extrusion. So let's exit the sketch. I'm going to rotate around so we can see this extrusion. I have sketch 6 highlighted. If I go ahead and highlight the sketch before I press the extrude button, it assumes that that's the profile I want to use, and it begins to do the extrude. The problem with this one, it's going the right distance. I want it to be 0.25, but I want it to split the difference on either side of the sketch. So instead of a blind extrusion, I'm going to change that to a midplane extrusion, and now I've got it centered the way I wanted it centered. So I'll click OK. And if I click anywhere else, I'll deselect the sketch, and that's the profile. This probably is a good time to save. We've done quite a bit of work here. And the next feature I want to do, I just want to finish this triangle, so I'm going to choose the mirror command. Notice I don't have anything selected. I'll choose the mirror command. The first thing I need is the face about which to mirror. That would be right here. The second thing I need is the feature to mirror. That would be this feature here. And it shows me a preview. That looks correct, so I'll click the check mark. And there's a triangle. If you recall, this also had a radius, so we'll go ahead and put a fillet back on the corners. There's a fillet here and a fillet here, and they also had values of 0.1. So check mark for that. And again, a save.